Today being Father's Day, I want to take a few minutes and just address something that I believe is going to be very, very important. Now, I want to read the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth, chapter number 1. Now, Ruth is a story known to majority of us. Ruth was not an Israelite. She was a Moabite. But she decided to cling on to an Israelite and refused to verge and to diverge. She literally refused to leave when circumstances had said that she should leave. And as a result of that, God rewarded her and gave her Boaz. And Ruth is the one who became the mother of Obed. Now, and I think we all know that Obed was the father of David. So she becomes literally one of the great grandmothers of Jesus. And it's a great honor that God had to choose somebody from a totally different lineage to be in the lineage of Christ because of faithfulness and commitment, because of loyalty. I mean, she was so loyal that God saw that kind of loyalty is what is needed. And she said, and God decided, I'm going to fix you to be part of my kingdom because of loyalty. Some of those small things that you think are not rewarding, being faithful to what you do, being committed to the assignments that you're given in life, being committed to your workplace, committed to, we have people who joke around and they're not loyal to where they are. They're not loyal in their workplace. They're not committed to what they do. I want you to know that God is a rewarder. But that's not my direction today. I was just trying to tell you who this Ruth is. Now, chapter number 1, verses number 1. And it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to dwell in the country of Moab, he and his wife and 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of the wife was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrates of Bethlehemite, Judah. And they went to the country of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left in her 2 sons, or with her 2 sons. Now they took wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Opher, and the name of the other was Ruth. And they dwelt there about 10 years. Verses 5 says, then both Mahlon and Chilion also died. So the woman survived her 2 sons and her husband. I want to say something that I'm calling help. Something is killing our men. Now, you will allow me not to preach today, but to talk. And I basically would like to address all the ladies, all the women from all over the world. Naomi seems to be losing all her male. She loses the husband. She loses Mahlon. She loses Chilion. And all the male around her, something seems to be killing every male and the men around her. And we are living in a society and a generation where something seems to be killing our men. You will realize in the Bible that from Genesis, God saying He's going to put enmity between the seed of the woman and the enemy, the serpent himself. You will realize during the days of Pharaoh that Pharaoh was not interested in killing the daughters, but he said, when you see any man, kill him. If he is a boy, don't let the boy survive. If she is a girl, let her survive. A few things I would like to say before we pray, because I say today being Father's Day, let me just give a special dedication and have this word so that we may pray, and that I may speak to all our women to watch out, because something is after your man. Something is after your son. One of the things you need to understand is that God put a seed in a man. There can be no continuity without a seed. It is the seed that carries tomorrow. Why? Because inside the seed there is the fruit. That is why when you put seed on the ground, it grows and brings fruit, and a fruit never comes out without having seed on the inside. That means there is continuity. That means if the enemy manages to kill our male, then he will have managed to kill our tomorrow. Reason why you should pray for your sons and pray for your husbands. You will remember when Herod came against children and babies were being killed. He killed sons. And now the story we are reading here of Naomi, they have left Bethlehem. Bethlehem means the house of bread. And now they are gone to the Moabites because there was famine. We're living in a time where things are very tough. And you see, Elimelech had to try and do something for the family to survive. And he had to look for a place to take the family. Just like I know many people right now, because of the hard situation, because of the COVID, the men are mostly hard hit because they got to think how their children are going to eat. They got to think how their families are going to stand. And sometimes it's not easy. So what is this thing that is killing our men in our generation? Why are we having so many suicides? That our men are dying. Our men have got into drugs. Our men, literally, they are doing things that when you look at these things, you wonder, is this person really normal? What is happening? And I'm saying, help! Something is killing our men. And I want to suggest to the women that are watching today a few things that are killing our men, so that you're watchful. Number one, people have destroyed, and women have destroyed the ego of their men. I want you to understand, every woman that is watching me, that there is something God put in every man. And this thing is called ego. That's why Ephesians, Paul is telling all the women, submit yourself to your husband. Submit to that man. Why? That man feeds on submission. Every time you submit, you pamper the ego of that man. And every time you fuel that ego, you're helping that man be a man. So anytime you fight the ego of that man, and women are really, really crushing from their sons, the moment you will go and challenge your son before everybody, even if he is 3 years old, and you're destroying his ego, you're fighting him or beating him in front of the sisters and in front of everybody, rebuking him in front of everybody, and it trickles down, you begin to kill the ego of that boy. He begins to feel useless, and by the time he is even becoming a man, he is so irresponsible because you destroyed something that was supposed to make him know and feel that he is a man. We find women that will look at their husbands and tell them, oh, you cannot do this, you're not man enough. Every other man is buying this for their wives, every other man is doing this and the other. And because that man cannot be able to buy you that house, cannot be able to buy you that car, cannot be able to take you where other men are, you start to destroy his ego. And every time you mess with his ego, you're killing this man. No wonder we have depressed men. They've gone to drugs, and those who can't go to drugs are sitting and can do nothing. Their heads can't think straight. Why? The moment you messed with his ego, you destroyed him. You killed him. Naomi, something is killing the men around you. And I came to speak to the Naomis today. This being Father's Day. Now listen to me. If that man was able just to put a plate, just a single plate in that house, it could not be so much. I need you to appreciate that man. And I'm not only talking about the big man. That's why I said even those little boys, encourage them to feel that they are able. Encourage them to know they have a responsibility. Because if you tamper with their ego, you tamper with the manhood in them. We're living in days not like the early days where the role of a man was so defined. Because it is challenging these days. You know, in the early days, the man would go out to fend for the family work and the woman would be left at home. But we're living in days where, because things have changed, where both the man and the woman has got to go and work and bring something on the table. And sometimes you will have moments where some wives and women will earn more than their husbands. And sometimes because of that, they kill the ego and they begin to assume the role and feel like they are the man. And they begin to look down on their man. And what is happening, they destroy the ego of that man. And when you destroy the ego of that man, you have lost him. You have lost him. You could have all the money, but please let there be just that respect, that submission, so that you don't kill your man. Number 2 thing, it was written by Solomon, and he repeated this thing. I'm going to read it because it is in Proverbs 21. Proverbs 21 verses number 9. The Bible says, better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. That it is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop, of a rooftop, than in a house shared with a contentious woman. As if that was not enough, Solomon repeats it in the same chapter, verses number 19. And he says, it's better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious, angry woman. A contentious woman is what other versions of the Bible will say a nagging woman. Let me say this for free to all the ladies. And I said I'm doing this because it is Father's Day. I want to speak for the fathers. Something they will not tell you in your houses. What is killing that man? Why you seeing that man not becoming what he is supposed to become? I'm going to ask you a question. Are you a nagging woman? Men were not wired to be nagged. That's why the writer here is saying it is better to live on the rooftop than stay in the house with a nagging woman. It is better, he says it is better to go live in the wilderness. I want you to imagine these conditions. Can you imagine living on the rooftop of a house? Living on a rooftop of a house. Instead of going in and meet a nagging woman inside your house. So what is killing men and what is causing them to die younger? And they say their lifetime of men is going down and down. Could that be just maybe our men are out nagging women? By the time you get into that house, it is nagging from morning and nagging till evening. Could that be that's why your man has gone to the rooftop? Just the other day, they said because now the condition is stay at home, there are more battles. Domestic violence has hit the roof. Why? Before then, the rooftops were open, the bars and the social places where men would just go. But now because they have to be home and they run home to a nagging woman, battles come and we're killing our men. So many reports of battles and fights. The moment you nag that man, that boy, you confuse him. Naggingness is where there can be no contention. You never content in anything. You never see anything good about this man. You never see anything good about that boy. You will always see what he hasn't done and never see what he has done. You always complain what he didn't do and never see what he ever did. One man said that if you buy a woman a house today, she'll give you 1 mark. If you buy her chocolate, it is only 1 mark. You don't have 10 points for a house and 1 point for a chocolate now. That's why the day she will ask you for sugar and you don't have money to buy that sugar, she will forget that last week you bought her a house and she will bring all the trouble. Nagging. It is better for a man to stay on the rooftop than live in the house with a nagging woman. This thing was so serious that having written it in chapter 21, he must have forgotten that he wrote it. So when he came to write chapter 25, he repeats the same in verses number 14. Verses 24. That it is better to dwell in the corner of a housetop than in the house shared with a nagging woman. May I submit to all the women today, and forgive me if I'm too harsh on you today, but I came to save the Naomi's man, because something seems to be destroying the men around her. We need to save a generation, because if we do not save that boy child, if we do not save that father, we are destroying a generation. Right now, people are saying we have so many empowered girls, but they do not have men to marry them. From where I sit, I have many girls who come to me, and ladies who will come to me and say, you know what, I don't think there is anyone to marry me. I'm just gonna go look for a baby because I cannot see anyone to marry. What happened is because from the boy, we never grew the man. We started nagging that boy from when he was down there. He never grew up to be the man he was supposed to be. And now our girls are empowered, but there is no man to marry this girl. Our boys are lost in the streets, lost in drugs, lost in funny things. And you're wondering, what is killing my Elimelech? What is killing my Kilion? What is killing my man? As if that was not enough, in chapter number 27, he says, a continual dripping on a very rainy day, and a contentious women are alike. Can you imagine? A continual dripping on a very rainy day, and a contentious or a nagging woman are alike. And whoever restrains her restrains the wood. So listen, you imagine on a rainy day, you don't have your umbrella, and you're being rained on. The writer is likening a nagging woman like a rainy day. I submit to the women that are listening to me today. We got to stop being too much. Because listen to me, a man cannot multitask. You tell him this and this and this and that and this, he can't figure it out altogether. Men do not know how to multitask. He's in one thing after one. He finishes this, then he will deal with the other. When he's watching news, you tell him something, believe me, he will not hear that thing. He can't multitask. He's in one thing. He finishes this, goes to the other. When you want him to multitask, you want him to do this and that and this thing, then you kill him. It's killing. And while a woman may go in zigzag ways, a man goes in a straight way. We are kind of a headline kind of a person, where every newspaper has a headline. You hit the headline and you can figure out what the main story is. We don't have a lot of connections. If you ask your man, how was your day? He will tell you it was fine. And he means it's fine. And so many of us women think your man is hiding something because he didn't explain how the day was. Because for a woman, a day cannot just be fine. There is no way 12 hours or 18 hours can just be fine. Because for a woman, it's supposed to be, oh, when I left here, I met so-and-so. We said this and the other. That's how the day was for a woman. So when you see them, just say, fine. Stop telling them, what is that you're hiding? You're killing your man. You're killing your man. Men walk in a straight line. The next time you go with your husband and you want to drag him to the supermarket. You say, let's go to the supermarket, mama, let's go buy unga. The man gets exactly that. And you live together, you go to the supermarket, he is headed to where flour is. But as for you, woman, before you get to the flour, umeenda kwa nguo, umeenda kwa mikate, umeenda kwa sukari. I mean, you first zigzag, and the man is wondering, oh my goodness, I thought Todire Kogoramotu can't understand what is happening. Because they walk in straight lines. He knows if we're going to buy unga, tunakulanga unga ya, I don't know what you eat, but if it is jogo or anenda street, he knows in his mind ni jogo, so he will go pick jogo. But for you, you will, even before you know, finally you will buy jogo, but before you take the jogo, you want to check kafagara, you want to check jembe, you want to check all these things, and finally then you take jogo, you go. You will have gone like this. And now you wonder why your man cannot understand that going to the supermarket is not just buying the unga, you have to check other things. And when you can't understand that, you think your man is not patient. You think he's not patient because he couldn't wait for you to try on those clothes in the supermarket. Yet you knew you were not to buy, but you just wanted to try, fit it on, you know. And so when your man can't be with you for an extra 5 minutes because he couldn't understand why you didn't talk about checking or taking clothes because he was straight, you now begin to accuse him. When you begin to accuse him, what are you doing? You're killing that man. You're killing that man. I wish I had time. But I'm going to ask every lady, every woman that is listening to me today to go take a minute and appreciate that man. He might not have done so much for you. He might not have been like other men that you try to compare him with. But he deserves your respect if he is going to become what he is supposed to become. The same man you want to kill now with naggingness could be the same man if you give him the right atmosphere, if you give him the right environment. Could be the same man that is going to be able to do those things that you thought he cannot be able to do today. Why am I saying that? He is a seed. And a seed might be so tiny today. A seed might be so small today. In fact, Jesus talked about the kingdom of God being like a mustard seed, so tiny, but it grows to become a big tree. Why? It's been given the right environment. And so please hear me well. Let us give the men in this nation the right atmosphere for them to manifest and become what God expected them to become. If you meet a Joseph today that can't give you anything because he's just a slave, if you give him the right environment, he will become the prime minister you've been looking for. If you give the David an environment, he's just a shepherd boy. He can't help you. You can't even call him when the men are being called. He can't even be invited to go to the battle when the men are going to the battle. But excuse me, if you just give him the right environment, he'll become the king and the greatest king that Israel will ever have. No wonder David was able to mentor 600 men, people who had debts, people who were depressed, people who were confused. But by the end of their story, the Bible says they are called the great men of David. Why? He nurtured them, gave them an environment. Their yesteryears were crazy. I mean, they were full of debts and everything was killing them. But all they needed was an environment that would help them put their ideas on the ground, that would help them get encouraged. But the day he spoke that idea, you thought it was too minute, it was a baby-like. You belittled that small idea and you killed him. Naomi, what is killing the men around you? Woman, what is killing the men around your life? Do you understand how to give them an environment that is supposed to cause them to become everything that God wanted them to become? This is my prayer, that when you hear this word, you will save one man. Remember, Goliath was not asking for the whole army. Remember, Goliath was not saying, bring the whole army, I want to fight. He was saying, give me one man. If we, excuse me, if we can save one man, if you can save that boy in your house, if you can save that man in your house, we will have saved a generation. And this nation needs to do that. Doesn't matter where your man is right now. He could be a leper like Naaman, but if you give him the right environment, his end story will be different. So this is my submission to every one of you, to every woman that is listening. Take care of your men. Don't let them die. Don't kill your men. Protect that man. Protect that boy. And so, to all the men that are listening to you, all the men that are listening to me today, this Father's Day, I also charge you. Understand you are the heads of that family. You're the vision carrier of that family. You're the think tanks. So I charge you before God, when love your wives. Go protect and defend your families. Be a present father for your children, because they need you to mentor them and to protect them. And that's where Isaiah 8:18. I want to bless you with that, and then I'll finish this service. Isaiah 8:18. I want to leave you with that word to all men. This is what my Bible says. This is what my Bible says. This is blessing I leave to every of you men today. That here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel. And to all the men, let your seed, let your children be for signs and wonders in every place that you will go. I bless you all. I bless you as fathers. Go and be the best fathers you can never be. Go and be the best husbands you can never be. And to you women, give your men an environment that will help them become the seed they are supposed to be, because every seed carries potential. If you destroy that seed, you will never live to see the fruit that was in that seed.